It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're wrapping up the movies of March 1992 with the weekend of March 27th. We've got 6 movies to look at today, so let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right on into it. And we'll start off with the first movie, the biggest new release of the weekend, and honestly the best new release that came out this weekend. And that was Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson in the basketball comedy White Men Can't Jump. Man, if you had stock in Fox in March of 1992, you probably hit the jackpot, because not only did you have this movie, but you had My Cousin Vinny a couple weeks before this, and those were big comedy hits for them. And yeah, your stock was pretty good that month, if you had any stock in 20th Century Fox at the time, and rightfully so, because My Cousin Vinny is a great movie. So is this movie. It's a really damn good movie. It's written and directed by Ron Shelton, the same man who also gave us Bull Durham and also Blaze. And this is probably his best overall movie. When I really think about it, this is the one that I always come back to. It's one that I watch over and over again. It's just a brilliantly funny movie. Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson work off each other so well. Their chemistry is just perfect in this. They work off each other so well. They each get their chance to shine in this. And even the chemistry between Harrelson and Rosie Perez works very well. I mean, Marissa Tomei and My Cousin Vinny got the Oscar that year for Best Supporting Actress. Rosie Perez should have gotten nominated as well, because, man, if this was the movie that was supposed to break her out into superstardom, this was definitely it, because she really held her own against both of these actors, Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. We'd seen them work well together before, but in other films, but really, Rosie Perez is the breakout here. I mean, she really gives one of the best performance of the movie. She's a ton of fun to watch. She's very funny here. Her chemistry with Woody Harrelson works so well. And you really like this character a whole lot. Like I said, you really like all these characters all together. And the comedy is very well written. It knows exactly what you need to be entertained. And really, it pretty much gives you everything that you want from this to make it work, and then some. It's a great movie. It's one I watch all the time. It's one of the greatest sports comedies ever made. Need I say more? White Men Can't Jump. Fantastic film. I'm really scared what they're going to do with the remake, but, I mean, you never know. Sometimes these remakes can actually be good. They are remaking this, by the way, which I guess by the time this is recorded, September 16th of 2022, I think they're making it right now, and it should be coming out within the next year or so, but if not then, it'll be coming within the next couple of years. I do think they are filming it as of this time, so, remake could be good. Remake might work, but chances are it won't, but at least it won't take away from the enjoyment factor of this movie. This movie is just a comedy classic all around. Need I say more? White Men Can't Jump. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is another sports comedy. Maybe not quite as good as White Men Can't Jump, but it's got Rodney Dangerfield in it, so it has something to it. Ladybugs. Okay, maybe it's not quite as good, but, I mean, Rodney Dangerfield's pretty fun in this, and you got Jackée Harriet here. She's very funny. She won an Emmy for 227. I mean, I've seen her in other movies. She's great. She's a great comedian. You got Jonathan Brandis, who would later be seen in CLIPLESS. You also have some other people of noteworthiness. Vanessa Shaw is in this. Tommy Lasorda, the manager of the Dodgers, is a cameo here. Blake Clark, Chuck McCann, some notable names here. This is directed by Sidney J. Furie, and if you don't know him as a director, you definitely have seen his work. It's not quite the best work. I mean, he did Iron Eagle 2, he did The Taking of Beverly Hills, which we looked at on a previous episode, but his most notorious work is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, which is still one of the worst movies ever made, in my opinion. I mean, but this movie, its biggest problem is that it's pretty much a standard sports comedy mixed with a Tootsie-like type of film that really, it doesn't really mesh together all that well. The script overall is pretty generic. It can kind of predict everything that's going to happen in this movie, but like I said, it's not a terrible movie. I think Rodney Dangerfield really saves the film, because he will usually turn in a good performance, and some good funny performance in usually the worst movies. I mean, we just looked at Rover Dangerfield, which is a movie that's not really all that good. It's very formulaic, but you know what? It works because Rodney Dangerfield is involved in it, and he he will usually bring his A game to even the worst type of films, and you can still enjoy it just for his performances alone. And here it does work. I don't think it's a good movie overall, but I don't hate it. I think it's just what it is. It is what it is. So that's Ladybugs. Now let's get to the third sports comedy this week. I guess. Well, technically it's about the Olympics, so I guess it is a sports comedy. It's the ice skating comedy, The Cutting Edge, starring Moira Kelly and D.B. Sweeney. Yeah, so kind of like with Ladybugs, this is a movie that we've seen done over and over before. It's a sports comedy mixed with a generic romantic comedy premise, and there's really nothing to it. You can kind of predict everything that's going to happen. You can predict the the sports movie cliches. You can predict the romantic comedy cliches. Everything is definitely in here. As far as the movie itself goes, it's kind of like Ladybugs. It's passable. The two leads in here, they're not too bad. D.B. Sweeney and Moira Kelly actually work well with each other. You got Terry O'Quinn in here. You also have Roy Dotrice in this. It's directed by Paul Michael Glaser, and one of the early films from Tony Gilroy, who would later become a top-tier action writer with his work on the Bourne Legacy, the Bourne films, and then Rogue One, a Star Wars story. But there goes my old phone again. But yeah, as far as the film itself goes, it's pretty standard. There's nothing really all that exciting about it, nothing really all that interesting about it, but I didn't hate it. I just thought it was okay. It's something that I watched it once. I was just kind of like, that's not too bad, but it's not something I really want to watch over and over again. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about this one. The Cutting Edge, it is what it is. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and we've got another sports movie here. I guess this weekend was all about these different sports movies, but this one's a boxing film from the director of Rocky and also The Karate Kid. Did it have the same kind of success? I don't think it did, because nobody really ever talks about this one, but let's get into it, though. The Power of One. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this particular movie. You've got a story set in South America, or South Africa, I should say, during World War II. You're following this English South African boy raised under apartheid, and his conflicting relationships with a German pianist, a colored boxing coach, and an Afrikaner romantic interest. There's three different movie plots put into this one, and I think that's the biggest problem with this movie, is that they combine so many different elements in here that they're trying to create another Rocky movie. It's not quite as obvious as something like Gladiator, but it's definitely in there. It's definitely in there disguised as, in a way, I think it is kind of a mix of both Rocky and The Karate Kid when you really think about it. It's just not a very good, it's not a very well-written movie. The performances overall in this are not that bad. You've got Stephen Dorff in here, you've got Armin Mueller-Stahl, you've got John Gielgud from Arthur, Morgan Freeman, Daniel Craig, James Bond in his first feature film debut. It's not a bad cast, and they are working decently well with the material given to them, but the film overall just reeks of both Rocky and a little bit of The Karate Kid mixed with an Oscar baitish type of story. But it just really doesn't work as well as I think they wanted it to. I think they really should have tried to make this much different than this director's other works to make it work better. But as it is, it just doesn't work very well. It's a movie that's pretty forgettable when you really think about it. Mostly because they really don't know which direction they want to go to with it, and it definitely shows on screen. So that is The Power of One, and it just wasn't enough. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Danny Aiello as Jack Ruby in Ruby. Of course, this is the story of Jack Ruby, the man that killed Lee Harvey Oswald just days after the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And I don't know if this was planned or this was actually supposed to come out later. It feels like this movie was coming really fast after JFK, because this came out 3 months after JFK did, and JFK's the better movie overall. But as far as this movie goes, I guess it's okay. I mean, it's another one of those movies where it's just like there's really nothing exciting about it. I guess the performances by Danny Aiello and you also have Sherilyn Fenn in here. I guess those are the only two things about this movie that really stood out to me. But as far as an overall film itself goes, it's not really as good as they think they wanted it to. I think there should have been, I think with a better person behind the scenes and a better script overall, maybe this could have been something great. But as it is, it just feels like a movie that's just trying to copy the success of JFK, and overall not really doing it all that well, at least in my opinion. So that's Ruby. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Roadside Prophets. I haven't really seen this movie, but it's got a decent cast to it. Basically, when they say it's made by the same people that made Sid and Nancy, it's basically made by the co-writer of Sid and Nancy, is Abby Rule, and I don't know. I don't really see a whole lot of that in this, but just from that trailer alone. But it's got a decent cast to it. Adam Horovitz, of course, from the Beastie Boys. John Cusack's in this. David Carradine, Don Cheadle's in this movie. So was Flea, Stephen Tobolowsky, Lin Shaye. An overall decent casting here. I haven't really seen the movie, so I can't really comment on it too much, but it does look like it's trying a little bit too hard on trying to capture the spirit of Easy Rider, make a new Easy Rider for the 90s. But heard some good things about it, so maybe it isn't as bad as I'm thinking it's going to be, but I'll check it out one day. Roadside Prophets. Also, on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll jump into the movies of April. Some notable movies here. We've got Beethoven, the original Beethoven. Dolly Parton in Straight Talk. We have Val Kilmer in Thunderheart. From Don Bluth, Rock-a-Doodle. There's one movie here I'm not going to look at just because I can't really find any information about it, and it has this long-ass title, too. Listen to this. Dancing, The Song of Wolfgang the Intrepid, The Glorious Destroyer of Dragons, A Smaller World, The Green Beret, Weeds, The Tale of Nicholas Nickleby, Office Space, The Boss, Unsavory Avery, Ring, and Prehysterical Days. I mean, I don't know what this is. I can't even find it on Google. The only thing I can find it on Google is when I click to the Box Office Mojo website, and that's where I got this. That's where I get my information from. So I have no idea what this movie is, or even what this is. I'm guessing it's a collection of shorts, but I'm not really going to be able to find any information on this, so I'm not going to look at that one. But we are going to look at Delicatessen. So we have Beethoven, we have Straight Talk, Thunderheart, Rock-a-Doodle, and Delicatessen to look at next time around. So 5 movies to look at next time. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care. Before I leave you, I just want to show you what I'm talking about here. Like, when I click on this, there's no real information about this particular film. I guess maybe if I click on these individually, I'm guessing this is part of like a short collage or something. Because if I go to Google and type this in, let me show you what I mean here. Come on. That's the only thing that comes up. I have known nothing about this. I don't know. Let's see what happens if I click these individually. Yeah, I'm guessing this is a collection of animated shorts. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find some information on here. So that's why I'm not going to look at it next time around. I just wanted to show you what I was talking about. So there you go. That's one that it's out there, but it's not something I'm going to look at this next episode. So that's it. Now I'm gone for sure. Goodbye.